Hey! Thought I'd share a video with you guys about the stupid truck. This is the first body modification I made on the stupid truck. It's the windshield wipers. As you can see, they are Corvette style windshield wipers. I originally made and shared this video on Facebook long before I had a YouTube channel, but I just wanted to let my YouTube people see how I did it and what I did and all that good stuff. It's worth pointing out that the original video had background music in it. I normally would not include music in a video like this, but there was music playing while I recorded the video. Therefore, I had to add some music to this video, which I normally wouldn't do, just to cover up the copyrighted music that's in the background. So take a look at it. See if you like it. I'm Johnny Mac, and this is my garage, where we never get anything right on the first try. Join me as we work on super cool projects around the garage. Go to car shows and cruise-ins where we'll showcase classic cars and trucks, hot rods, rat rods, and mini trucks. Along the way, we plan to turn this 88 S10 into a show-worthy lowrider. We never know what's going to happen, but one thing's guaranteed. Sometimes you gotta tear it all down and start over. And that's what makes this the Wrong Way Garage. What's up, Facebook? Johnny Mac at the Wrong Way Garage, where we've still never done anything the right way the first try. Today's video is going to be a little bit longer than usual due to the fact that I want to walk you through what I did and how I did it. So if you have a friend that would benefit from the knowledge or just have an interest in what I'm doing here, then feel free to share it. Everything on my page is listed as public. That being said, the modification for today is wiper arms. If you know me, then you know that I've had an affection for Corvettes since I was a small child. This is a modification that I wanted to do back in the late 80s, early 90s with my previous S10, but did not have the know-how or the ability. Back then, every time I saw this, not every time, but most of the time when I saw this mod, this wiper arm was always in the upright position whenever the wipers were in park like they are now. I thought that was so you could show off the mod, because the fact of the matter is this is an easily overlooked modification. But turns out no, that's not why. If you want the wipers to go up, this one to go up backwards, then you have to reverse the linkage on this wiper arm. In order to do that, you either have to cut out the firewall, which usually means pull the entire dash out, or you have to do some type of reverse mechanism here to reverse the spin of the linkage. I opted to cut out the firewall. Let's put some power to it, see if we can make this run. This is what we came up with. Works pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. And we know the theory on that. There is no perfect. There's only good enough. So if you want to see how I made this happen, stick around. I'm about to show you. First thing we did was that Joe and I went to the junkyard, went to Wayne's Auto Salvage in Caryville, and picked up a whole bunch of parts to make this happen. We had no clue what it was going to take to make this happen parts-wise, but we knew what our goal was. So we grabbed a bunch of stuff and tried to make it happen. One of the things that we got at the junkyard was a complete top end of a firewall with all the wiper components still mounted to it. I didn't want to cut the stupid truck until I knew exactly what we were going to do, and I figured this would be a perfect way to mock it up and see how it's going to work and make the mistakes here, which we did, and then transfer the proper stuff to the stupid truck. So what I did was, well, for starters, I came in and made sure that I was capable of welding on this thick of a metal. I welded up some factory screw holes. There were holes like this up in here, and I welded them all up, made sure I was capable. Turns out I was. Then I took this portion of a firewall here, cut it off of another vehicle, and welded it in here for our mock-up. But what we actually needed was not that recessed area. What we needed was a raised area at the proper angle. So for the stupid truck, we cut this portion out of another vehicle and welded it in the same location on the other end of the firewall for the actual finished product. So at that point, let's move on to linkage. This is what the factory, the underside of the factory firewall looks like in reference to wiper linkage. Now, I'm going to try not to get overly technical and over-explain things as I've been pointed out as doing. Greg, not naming no names. Anyway, but at the same time, I'm going to tell you what's going on here because it's instrumental to making this happen properly. The bottom line is that this unit is roughly 1.25 inches center to center. Or excuse me, 1 3/4 inches, which gives you 3.5 inches of total travel when this rolls completely around. So you got 3.5 inches of total travel. You've also got 3.5 inches of total travel to the spot where this linkage bar that connects comes down. Now, if you come up to here, you've got obviously additional travel. For that reason, you've got a longer arm here for that additional travel. This arm matches this arm. So when it's all said and done, this matches this portion, and then this portion matches this. So in order to move this down to here, we realistically, theoretically, could have extended this arm and made it go from here all the way down to here. Problem is, you have a windshield here that means you have to come around there. So it's a lot easier to go from this point to that point and then modify your wiper post to make that happen. So here's what we did. Here's our modified wiper post. This portion of the post is factory. We took this off of another wiper post. The next thing you have to take into consideration is the angle of the post. The angle is going to sit up like this, which means that if you were to use the factory type, the factory unit, not only is it the wrong distance, but it's also the wrong angle. You could bend it, but if you bend it, you also adjust the length from center to center. So I welded another unit to it, and the factory unit will end up getting cut off before it's all said and done. This is what the factory unit looks like on this end. And when it's all said and done, this is what that one looks like. Alright, so with the linkage, what we ended up doing is welding one of these brackets onto this wiper arm. So we welded that here and ended up with this. So that arm is the same that goes from the motor to the driver's side bracket. Had to think about it. But we eliminate this arm because we now have this mount point, which allows us to put this bracket on it, which is two brackets that are welded together to give you the proper angle. And then on this end, this bracket attaches to your linkage on your arm. So that being said, this portion right here is inside the cab due to the fact that you've got to cut out into the cab in order to let that linkage pass through. That way you don't end up with a situation where this wiper arm has to be up here when it's parked and then comes down when this one's coming up. So you want them both to come up at the same time. You got to reverse this linkage. Here's the finished Firewall. It's just flat automotive primer, so I wiped it down with a little bit of mineral spirits or some paint thinner so that you could see the curves and the flaws. And of course the original location of the wiper and the factory location. So this and this, very similar. And then we've got our linkage, which protrudes into the cab, comes back, attaches here to the motor and to the other linkage arm, which then continues on to the other wiper. Now we get to the cosmetic end of this modification, which is the cowl, which, shy of the wipers themselves, are the only part that you're going to see. This is a stock cowl, a beat up one nonetheless, a stock cowl. Alright, this is the original cowl, which we robbed a little bit of metal off here to go in this location and ended up with, let's wipe it down with a little bit of mineral spirit so you can see it, hopefully, maybe. Alright, and then we robbed this location, which was this, and welded it in here. And when it's all said and done, it's got nice curves to it, matches the factory end on the other end. When I welded that in, I welded it front and back. There was no reason to clean up the backside due to the fact that it's under it and you're not going to see it. So of course now this one I could only weld on the top side because you can't get to it on the back side. So that brings us to the last part of this modification, which is the wiper arm. This is a factory wiper arm. The only thing I've done different to it is I took the blade off and swapped it around. The distance from center to outside ends is not exactly center. Now that being said, I honestly have no clue whether or not it was installed properly or backwards to begin with. So, but more importantly, this angle is the important part, because the other wiper arm needed to match that angle in the other direction. Unfortunately, this wiper arm was identical to this wiper arm, so we had to flip this arm around. To accomplish this, we disconnected this spring. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this is a very difficult process. It doesn't seem all that difficult, but apparently there is approximately 243,000 pounds of force on this spring. That's a guesstimate. So once you get this disconnected, you can drill out the factory rivet. I was going to show you on the other one, but it's in the wrong spot. Drill out the factory rivet, separate it right here, flip it around, but before you do so, this has an angle in it right here. You have to bend that the other direction to make sure the spring can be reinserted into this arm. Get it flipped around, squeeze this back down together, and put a rivet in it. Then you got to apply 243,000 approximately pounds of force to get this spring reconnected. At that point, you have a wiper arm that matches the angle of the other wiper arm from the opposite direction. So that brings us back around to the finished product. If you're still watching this, I'm assuming that you have an interest in modifications, mini trucking in general, or just can't believe somebody did this to their truck. It's a modification that I wanted to do, and let's face it, mini trucking is all about doing what you want to do to your vehicle to make it yours. Make that modification for you. So if somebody doesn't like it, doesn't matter. I didn't do it for you. I did it for me. But if you did like it, please click the thumbs up. If you didn't like it and you think it's stupid, click the angry face. I don't care. Just get out there and do something for you on your vehicle. Side note, don't give me any crap about the overspray everywhere. This windshield's getting replaced. This firewall's going to be redone. Everything on this firewall's going to come off, get repainted, all that good stuff when the color change happens.